Hi, I'm Natalie, and today we're going to be sewing the Mini Diva wallet by So Many Creations. Let me find the cover for you. This is what we're making. And as always, I'm going to do a couple of things a little different. Either way is fine. You can follow her pattern to the T, or you can do it the way I'm doing. I'm not changing a lot, just a few things. So first step, I highly recommend you get some mini Post-its and a pen, hopefully a different color than the pattern that we sent you so that it's really clear on what step you're at. I like to go through and check mark so that I know exactly where I'm at and I don't get lost. I have pre-cut my fabric pieces out. I'm going to take you overhead and show you. Let me bring this down a bit. So I like to pre-cut and fuse my interfacing, and then I label all the pattern pieces like this. And I just leave them at the top of my cutting mat so that I always know where they're at, what I'm doing, and that kind of thing. I do have my tools out. I like to have my mallet, which is this thing in case anything gets thick, double-sided sticky tape. I use this all the time, especially for zippers. I have a scalpel in case I need to unpick anything. I have a hem gauge to do seam allowances accurately. My little rotary cutter. I have some chalk. You could also use a silver marking pen or whatever you have. I do have my screwdriver set here because at the end of this, we're putting on a frame. Your kit will arrive with enough materials to make 2 wallets if you want to. So we have the original Diva size frames and patterns in stock if you want to make the regular size wallet, which is about 8 inches wide. The mini is much smaller. And I thought it would be fun to make, so let's do it. All right, so I've cut out my pattern pieces, and I want to explain that in her pattern, she has you cut the interfacing smaller and then fuse it. I don't typically do that. I like to have my interfacing in all of the seams. My machine can handle it. It's not an industrial. So that's what you'll see on the back of my pattern pieces. I also am going to interface the main body piece, which is A, with some foam. She does not call for this, okay? I am going to do it because I know what I like as far as how my wallets feel. So I'm going to base that to the main body piece, just one little piece of foam. And in your Anna Maria box, if that's what you ordered from us, your kit will have that piece of foam in it, okay? All right, so I already did the first page. Note that in this pattern, she's giving you 2 patterns. You have the Mini Diva wallet and you have the Mini Prima Diva, which has way more pockets and is a little chunkier. So what we're going to be doing is the Mini Diva wallet. So it starts right away, and I'll take you through these steps with me, okay? So step 1 was the fusing of the interfacing to the pieces. Just go ahead and do that to the pieces that she's talking about so we can get right into sewing. Now we're going to go into step 2, which is preparing the zipper pocket. Can you take me overhead, Ramel? Because with my boots on, it's a little rough. Okay, so step 2, preparing the zipper pocket. So you want to get your interfaced piece B and flip it over. And I'm going to use my little ruler here, my So Hungry Hippie ruler. And I'm going to be using a pen so you can really see what I'm doing. So I flipped it because for me to measure like this is too awkward. So I have to turn it, and we're measuring 1 inch down and draw a box. Now, excuse me. We also want to mark 3/4 of an inch in from each side. And then is this measure 1/4 inch down from, I'm going to go 3/8 because I'm using a number 5 zipper. So instead of 1/4 inch for my zipper opening, it's going to be 3/8 of an inch. Ooh, are those lights too bright, or can you see what I'm doing? You sure? Okay. So there's our box. And then let's draw a center line down the box. If you've watched any of my other videos, you know what we're doing here. Okay, so there is our rectangle. Now she has us fuse a strip of 1/4 inch wide tape to the top and bottom of the rectangle. You can go ahead and do that if you like. So now we're going to cut down that middle. I like to use my little rotary cutter. And then I need my sharp snips. Where did I put those? Right here. I'm going to do the little V notches, I call these. Okay. And now I'm going to do the tape. She wants to. Now fold back the opening. It might help if you use your expert point and press tool. All right. Now we have an opening here. I didn't get any tape on the ends here. I'm just going to cut a little smidge to hold those V notches back. Oh, I'm at the end of this roll. Oh yeah, sure am. That away. Do you have a garbage can nearby? Always good to try and keep your work area tidy. I don't like getting confused when I'm making a pattern, so I try to keep my work area clear. One of those pieces of tape didn't have any sticky left on it. I'm going to open my new wheel. After you open a wheel of double-sided sticky tape, put it in a glass jar or a Ziploc bag or something. Because what I have noticed is if you let it sit out open to air, it tends to lose some stickiness, even though you haven't unpeeled it. Just an FYI there. Okay, so we've got that. Now we're going to... I like to put the double-sided sticky tape on my zipper tape rather than the back of this. So I'm going to change that up slightly. But first I have to put on my pull. And again, I'm using a number 5 zipper, so it's going to look a little chunkier. Oops, I almost did that wrong. But that doesn't bother me at all. So we need approximately 6 inches of tape here. Cut it. Here it is. Hopefully my zipper doesn't look silly at the end of this. But you know what? It'll be for me. So who cares if it does? I wanted a color that really looked good with this Anna Maria fabric that I'm using. And this is our bubblegum pink zipper tape. All right, so let's peel this off. And I'm gonna move my pull so it's going down the center and then center this. Cool. Now we're gonna top stitch around. I'm just gonna cut this away so that that sticky tape doesn't get in my way. We'll trim the zipper down a little more in just a bit. Let's go to the machine remote. If you have a zipper foot, it would be easier to sew putting that zipper foot on. I'm going to do it without to show you that it can be done. Don't let it stop you. This is, oh, I really messed that up. Did you see how I didn't move my pole in time? I'm going to have to unpick those. All right, make sure you can use the zipper. Now, a quick word, my sewing will not look perfect because when I'm sewing here, I'm balancing on one leg and I'm not using all the tools I would normally if I was at home by myself, which the zipper foot will make a big difference because you can get really close to those teeth. This bumped me out a little bit, but it's okay. It'll work. I'm just going to unpick a couple of stitches. And if you use a matching thread, it'll look better too. So now I'm just going to lift some of that zipper end that's poking out and trim it away so that it stays out of my seam allowance. So you can see I sewed here, so I'm just trimming some excess away. And I'll do this side too. There's no need for me to sew over those teeth later again. The zipper is secured. It's going to be a functional pocket. And now we're going to take our other piece B and lay this. Let's see. We are on, what page is this? This is page 4. Her page numbers are at the top of the pattern. Okay, to finish the zippered pocket, place the other piece B without interfacing on top right sides together. So we're going to sew right across here at a quarter inch seam allowance. I'm just going to hold it. If you want to use clips or pins, go right ahead. Let's go to the machine. And I'm going to sew this with the interfacing facing up. That way it won't stretch and I can clearly see where my zipper's at and what I need to do. I can see if the pull is in the way. It just works a little better. So there's that. Okay, top stitch. Oh, this is Okay, we're gonna go to the overhead. So we just sewed this on. We're gonna press it back and then press it down. There it is. I'm gonna get my ironing mat. Give me just 1 second. I'm gonna iron this. And then we'll top stitch along that fold. Okay, let's go to the machine. Now I'm going to turn my stitch length up a bit. This is going to be just above 3. Okay, and there it is. Make sure you can open your zipper. This is just for change, so she didn't line the pocket. It's very small. It shouldn't bother you. It's just some coins in there. Who carries a lot of coins these days anyways? Well, I guess I do sometimes. Okay, so now I'm going to take my red pen and cross that off. I'm done with that. We're on to step 3, preparing the card pocket unit. These are 4 cards. Take a sip of coffee. Okay, we're going to do step 3. I'm changing it up just a tiny smidge, not much, and you don't have to do it my way. You can follow her way. But let's go overhead. So we've got our 2 H pieces and a D piece, and we're going to end up folding them like this for card pockets. I just want to interface this a tiny bit so my card pocket is not flopsy. So I'm going to cut a little scrap piece of SF101 and fuse it inside here. And I'm going to do that for each piece. And then D, I think D we're also folding down, yeah. Now this piece isn't quite long enough, but that's better than 0 for me. So that's fine. Okay, now I'm going to bring over my Ironmatic. I want to keep these separated just in case. So this one is D. This gives it a little bit of body. And I'll trim away the excess in just a smidge. Oh, that one I didn't fold right. So I'm going to pre-fold it, make my crease. And then I know how big my interfacing needs to be. I'm going to trim this a bit. I like to use my mini iron when making small bags or small wallets like this, because then whatever I'm fusing or ironing, it's not too big and bulky and hard to control. I'm going to trim the interfacing away there. You can always do the interfacing smaller so it's out of your seams. If you're worried about your machine handling layers, go ahead and do that. All right, there's that. I'm going to trim this one away. Okay, so those are the H pieces. And then we need to take our C pieces. You've got one that's interfaced and one that's not. We're going to sew those together along this top edge. Let's go to the machine. And just like before, we're going to fold it back. Let's go back overhead. And we will be adding our card pockets to the interfaced side. I like to kind of smush that seam down, roll it to the back side. Okay, now we're going to top stitch right along that edge to hold the layers down. Let's go to the machine. All right, awesome. So I can cross off step 3 and go to the paragraph below. This is our base unit, C, our base unit. So we're going to lay that on our work surface with the interfaced side facing up. And we're going to add the card pockets one at a time. So this first card pocket, we can do a 1/2 inch down from the top. So again, I'm going to turn this so I can see my 1/2 inch markings, and it's easier for me to do this. Oh, you know what? I didn't top stitch these card pockets. We need to top stitch all of these edges so they lay down nicely. Okay, let's go to the machine and do that quick. These will get sewn on the sides again, so you don't have to backstitch if you don't want to. All right, let's go back overhead. And the first card pocket will go on 1/2 inch down. I am going to use pins. Hold this in place. You can use pins or clips. Make sure it's straight. Nothing will bug you more than if you put in a pocket that's not straight. Well, maybe some things will bug you more. Okay, so this is a 1/2 inch down from the top edge. And let's see, stitch along the pocket's raw edge. Repeat with card pocket 2. So we're going to sew right down here, this raw edge. Okay, let's do that. Back at the machine. Now we're going to do the same thing again. So is this also? Yep, 1/2 inch down. I'm going to place my ruler here. Right where it goes. Look at that. I didn't even plan that, how those lines are matching up. What? That is so magical. Happy accident. Okay, let's sew along this lower edge now. Miracles happen, right, Ramel? All right, let's go back. And now we have to turn the page. We don't want to get too far ahead. For the last pocket, place on top and stitch within seam allowance along the bottom edge. So all that means is we're going to stitch really close to this bottom edge because we don't want that to be seen at the end. I'm still going to put 2 pins in here. I don't want anything shifting and moving. And now I'm just going to sew along this bottom edge within the seam allowance. So a little bit tighter than a 1/4 inch. All right, and back. Yay, look at that. We've got some card pockets. Measure a 1/2 inch in from each side and add a line of stitching. And that's so your credit cards don't fall out. Nobody has time for that, right? That looks a little too far in, so I'm just gonna, sometimes you have to account for the thickness of your marking tool. So I go a little smaller than a 1/4 inch and adjust from there. So if this is a 1/2 inch, should be half of that distance, which would probably be right there. Okay, I'm gonna sew from, I'm gonna start at the bottom and go up, bottom and go up. All right, let's go to the machine. Awesome. Let me check. You know what I might need to check, Ramel, is if it's too wide still for my cards. Although we're going to be putting this in the wallet still with the frame. I'm going to leave it for now. If I have to make it a little smaller later, I will. Okay. Now we can cross that off, that top one. Now we're on step 4. So let's take it overhead and we will attach these pockets to the lining. You're going to take the F piece, this is F, and line up your card units and your zipper pocket so that all the raw edges are meeting. I recommend using clips or pins to hold these in place because we're going to sew all around the perimeter. You don't want anything shifting on you. All right, let's take it to the machine. I'm going to start over here. And you want to be within your seam allowance. So I'm using the width of my foot because I have a skinnier foot here. This stitching, you don't want it to be visible at the end of the wallet construction. So just be mindful of that. I would call this a scant 1/4 inch. All right, back to where we started. Let's go overhead. Remove your pins, give this a quick press, and then we'll move on to step 5. Now we're on step 5, and we're going to be using pieces A and E. Let's go overhead, and I will show you quickly what we're going to do here. So this is my E, this is my A. I have not interfaced A other than the SF101 so far. We have to trim 1 inch away from both of these pieces, and we're using that strip later, so make sure it's accurate. There's 1 inch, and let's cut 1 inch from this one. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is very quickly, I'm going to baste this foam to this piece. I hope this works out. Let's go to the machine. I'm using about 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. And this is not in the pattern. This is a modification because I like my wallets to feel chunky. I'm going to trim the excess foam away. Let's go overhead. All right, we still need these pieces, so keep them close. Now we're going to take the longer zipper, this 12-inch zipper. I haven't even measured mine yet. Just a second. I don't think it matters because I can trim it down later, but let's see where mine's at. Oh, it is at 12. I'm having some luck today. Can I use this? I think I can. You know, I love me some double-sided sticky tape. All right. Now you got to flip your pattern to page 6 to see these photos. So we are going to sandwich this zipper in between the pieces. So let's see, she wants this side, so let's do this. I always look at the photos or diagrams to make sure I'm applying it correctly. So here we are. Okay, I'm gonna pull this up a bit. That. Sandwich it down. Take your E piece, the lining underneath here, and that is going to match up. Make sure the sides here are matched up and the top edges are flush. Let's get some clips so everything is held in place while we're sewing. Okay, let's take this to the machine. We are going to sew right across here. Oh, Ramel was too fast. We're just going to sew right across here. It's all good. Make sure you're not up on a basting stitch. All right. Let's take it back overhead. Press this down and away. Make sure you get this back lining piece really pressed down, because if you're using foam like I am, it'll wanna bump up. So just grab your iron and make sure that you're making it behave. Okay, now we're going from the top side and we're going to top stitch across here. All right, go back overhead. Now we've got to put the 1-inch strips on this side. You want to make sure you're lining it up, okay? So take off your tape. This is my outside piece. I'm going to put this here. And then I'm going to place the lining right sides down on the other side. I'm going to sew from the top because that piece is interfaced. So I'm placing my clips so the flat side is on this side. And here we're going to sew all the way across. Let's go to the machine. Now again, we're going to do the same thing. Let's go overhead and we'll press this. You're really going to have to pull that lining side up and smash it down. All right, let's top stitch all across here now. Let me put my iron on the other table. All right. There it is. Let's go back to the table. So now we're going to assemble the wallet. This is step 6. So now we're on step 6. Like I said, we're going to assemble the wallet. Let's go overhead and I will show you how this is coming together here. If you want to, really quickly, go ahead and trim some threads. If that bugs you, it kind of bugs me. Okay, take your G piece, this one, and you're going to place it wrong sides together with these pockets that we just did. Line up all these edges and let's sew around that perimeter within the seam allowance. I'm going to put some clips in place here. So a scant 1/4 inch is what I'm going to do. Let's go to the machine. All right, back to the beginning. Let's go overhead. Make sure you caught everything. You don't have lumps everywhere. All right, so now we're going to sew this, place the outside of the wallet, right sides together with the lining, like this. And we're going to sew down the long edges twice and be sure to backstitch. Trim the seam allowance. Okay, so let me make sure we've got this. Mine's a little wider because I used that wide zipper tape. That's okay. We're just going to trim it up. It's going to be absolutely fine. Okay. 1, 2, 1, 2. See if it's easier to sew from this side. Oh, it is a little. Go on this side now. Ooh. Oh, I missed that side. Better do it from this side. Make sure your pole is out of the way. Got it. Let's do it again. All right, let's go overhead and trim the excess away. If you're more comfortable coming in here to do this part with scissors, go right ahead. There's no right or wrong for that. I'm going to get some bigger scissors and trim a little bit more. Trim those corners. You can trim away the excess zipper. Remember, my interfacing is in my seams. Oh, now before you trim away that end, pull your hole into the center. Whew, that would be a challenge. Okay, see all this? I'm going to scoop into my garbage bin. All right, so now we've got this. We're going to turn it right sides out. If you've opened your zipper, it's quite easy. You want to go overhead, Ramel? So now we're on step 7. We're going to add the frame. It's okay. It's easy. Just take a breath. I'm going to take you overhead. There are lots of little screws to put in, so this is why I recommend a magnetic screwdriver. Okay, let's go overhead. My zipper was wider than what she uses in the pattern, so my zipper is on the end rather than that 1-inch fabric strip. I just want you to know that. And yes, it's open on this end. If you prefer to close it, that's totally fine before we add the frame. I'm going to see how it goes like this. Here's the inside of the wallet. You'll have to really mash down those seams. If you put foam in the seams like I did, you'll probably want to come in here and mallet it down a little bit, okay? So this is the outside. There is a male and a female piece to the frames. So if you have glue, it can help to put a little bit of glue inside the frame as well. I don't have mine here. It got old and dried up. So I'm going to see if this is going to fit. Hopefully it will with that foam. And trim my zipper to be flush. I might have to trim back some of the foam. Let's see what happens here. It likes it up here in the center, but it doesn't like the ends. Okay. All I have to do is trim some more of the seam allowance out of the way. This is why I love sewing, because we can adjust as we need to. Especially at the bottom and the top, where that frame is going to hit. Trim out some of that foam if you did it like I did it. Okay, let's try this. Turn it right sides out again. So we're adding the frame now, and I'm going to have Ramel come in. Really whack down these corners if you have the foam in the corner like I do. And you want to make sure that you're putting on the frame the right direction. So the holes will be on the inside. The outside will be no holes. So lay it on your work surface with the lining up, and here comes Ramel.
So I'm going to start from the corner here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if I can. Just working the one side in first, so it seems like it's going in. So once you're not done yet, you're gonna flip it over.
Yep. Oh yeah, because we gotta get that smushed in there. Just takes a little bit of patience, but you can get it. Get your tools out. You will need your tools. You can see how he's going bit by bit, smushing it up into that frame. Can you lay it on the surface maybe and give yourself a little more?
It's coming. It's fine because you're trying to get it from. You're trying to get it in from both sides. So don't fret if it's coming apart every time you flip it over. But you want to make sure, just because you see it in one side, you want to flip it very carefully on the other side to make sure that it's all in. So I'm going to do that. Mm-hmm. And even though it seems okay over here, I'm still going to press it in. I'm still going to make sure that every single fabric piece is inside. I'm going to use a small. Mm-hmm. It's important to keep pushing it in so it'll hit on the inside edge over here, so you have material to grab when you're ready to use the screws. So just pushing it in, and I won't feel comfortable until I know I hit all the way to the bottom of that plate. And
awesome.
I think I got it.
Yep. Now we'll put the screws in, and then we got to do the other end. Might need to call you back. Yep, I can feel the screws biting that foam. That's good. That means it's not going to budge. Remember, if you want to use glue, you can. She likes Gutermann glue. She talks about it in the pattern briefly. I have used Fabri-Tac before, and I've used E6000. Today, I'm not using any glue. I'll let you know. Awesome. There it is. I'm going to trim this thread away. Yep, we can close this up. Okay, let's do Yep.
There you go. There you go.
We will have to cut out a little hole there. Don't worry about that. We're going to do that at the end. After we get this in here. Now I'm going to put in the screws before I cut that hole. I do not want to lose that. Just want to make sure this is, yeah, it's there. My fabric was folded up a little bit. Okay, so now what we're going to have to do is carefully cut that little hole. So the last step is making that little hole so that we can put the clasp through. Let's go overhead. I'm going to use my punch die set that I have linked many times before. And I'm using a really tiny one, and I'm going to go across like 3 times. I should have my plastic piece under it, but I seem to have misplaced that. What else is new? Okay, there's one. Maybe I can just do it twice. Close. Now I can punch through there. You can also draw and then cut. It's kind of a tedious thing here, but just take your time, get it as clean as you can, and then you're going to want to put a little fray check in the hole so that no fabric starts fraying later in here. We're almost there. Mel, we need to invent a little scissor that comes in here and chops out this exact size. Like almost like a punch and then a tweezer. Or something, you know? Ooh, my mind's working now. I bet I can clean this up a little bit more with my scalpel. Need a little mini vacuum. Can you get on that, Ramel? Little suction. Yeah, like a suctioning. That's what we need. Okay. I'm going to tidy this up much more after the fact. I just wanted to make sure you saw how it's done. And then we're going to pretend I have fray check, and I'm putting that all around the inside. And then that goes through. And there's the wallet. Put my piece. That's a really big zipper pocket. I'm going to put a smaller zipper in your kit so that it's not so wide there. There's the coin pocket, credit card pockets. You have pockets here as well. A cute little wallet. And we used a non-directional fabric so that it doesn't trip you up or anything. I think if it's your first time through, don't do the foam. I think it will be much easier without it. However, I like the feel of this. It's nice and squishy. But that was my own add-on, okay? So you don't have to do that by any means. All right. So as I said, this was the Mini Diva wallet. We do have her regular size pattern in the shop as well, along with regular size frames. They're 8 inches. And you can make some more. I think these would make really nice craft show offerings if you were wanting to sell your makes at a craft show. Everyone can use a new wallet, right? Okay, we will see you next time. Peace, love, sewing.